Hi, this is Paul Slackus, Good News Planet. I'm speaking to Christopher S. Bentley. Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing good, Paul. How about yourself today?
All right, good. You're the Press Secretary of the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, Department of Homeland Security. Thank you for helping this country do as well as we're doing. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome.
We're going to talk about EB-5, Immigration Investor Program. And so our audience has some idea of what that all means. And it's a good thing for America. And give us a little background on it.
Sure. The EB-5 program, the Immigrant Investor Program, was created back in 1990. And what it allows to happen is it allows a foreign national, someone who's not a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident of the United States, to come here, invest $500,000 or $1 million in the U.S. economy. In exchange for that, they're allowed to come as an EB-5 visa holder, which allows them to ultimately become a permanent resident if they meet certain criteria, and then 5 years later apply for citizenship. So it's a great program to infuse money or capital investment into the U.S. economy, a great program for creating jobs in the U.S. economy, and a good program for foreign nationals to be able to come to the United States and afford themselves of the dreams and the opportunities that are here in the U.S.
All right, that all sounds like great news. Now, is there a quota on how many of these are available?
There are 10,000 EB-5 visas available each year. So, yes, there is a cap of only 10,000 available.
All righty, and is there like one, is it from any country outside of America that, the investor can come from?
Correct. Individuals could apply from any country to request to be able to participate in the program, and they certainly do as well. So individuals from around the world afford themselves of this opportunity.
So what would be the steps? Somebody here in America or vice versa, they would find a potential investor that they feel is appropriate for what they're doing, and vice versa in that same way?
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. It's kind of in a nutshell, and maybe very simplified, but that's exactly how it works, Paul, is that someone outside of the United States is going to become aware of an opportunity here to invest an amount of capital, that $500,000 or that $1 million of capital. In exchange for that, they're going to start their path to ultimately what they hope will be citizenship in the United States, should everything pan out. So yes, it is individuals outside of the United States looking for opportunities, and then it's regional centers, which are the kind of the enterprises that are allowed to promote these activities within the United States. It will be those individuals going overseas and actually recruiting for individuals to come in and participate in the program.
Okay. Now, does an investor from one of these countries expect with that investment, either the 500 or the 1 million, are they granted a percentage of that company's business, or how does that all work?
Yeah, it's a capital investment, so they're not buying stock, or they're not buying a percentage of the company. They're literally investing that amount of capital in the enterprise, and there's no, as a matter of fact, one of the stipulations for participating in the program is there can be no guarantee of any type of return on that investment. That investment has to be put completely at risk, meaning that someone may receive a return on it, just as you would in any type of investment opportunity that you have, but there can't be a guarantee of it. So for the individuals coming to the United States, investing that $500,000 or $1 million worth of capital, there's no guarantee that they'll ever get that money back. What there is a guarantee of is if they participate in the program and they meet the certain criteria that's set along the way, they'll ultimately be able to become a U.S. citizen.
And what are some of those criteria for let's say here for the American company? What is some of the criteria for the potential investor? How does our country know that where the money is coming from and things like that? What will they have to show the United States that they're honorable and so on and so forth?
Well, and it's one of the things that we do. We do very extensively when we are looking at people making determinations if they can or can't participate in the program is we'll do a number of background checks that will allow us to look at not only what type of capital they are investing, but where that capital comes from. We want to make sure there are no issues of money laundering or anything of that nature associated with the program. There will also be individual background checks done to ensure that the individual asking to participate, even if the capital is not an issue, has nothing in their background which would be of a public safety or national security concern such that they shouldn't be able to come to the United States. So those are things that are checked very closely all through the process of determining if someone can participate in the program. Now, the specifics about what type of evidence do you need to provide, we really don't get into the specifics of giving a checklist and saying provide this, this, and this. The individual investor needs to present to us all the evidence that they have that thinks will verify for us the fact that they're eligible to participate in the program. But we want to give someone a laundry list so then someone could use that laundry list to figure out a way to cheat the system or maybe to sneak past things. So it's literally the evidence that the investor thinks they need to provide to us to convince us that they meet those qualifications to be able to participate.
And is it just the investor that's allowed into the country, or is the family, or how does that work?
Yep, it's both family members, so it would be immediate relatives and the individual who has applied for participation in the program. So typical type of scenario is we know historically for every man or woman who receives an EB-5 visa, they have about 1.5 family members that are also going to be included in that calculation, knowing that there are no such things as half a child one way or the other. But that's about it. So for every visa, there's about 1.5 additional visas for their family members that will be approved.
And what kind of a time frame is this? How does that all come about?
The time frame is literally within about a year from the time they file. However, that's kind of a median type of time. It's just all going to depend on how complete the evidence is that's been provided and that there are no questions about the source of the funds or questions about past criminal activity or memberships in organizations that have to be resolved. But typically a year or so is what it takes from start to finish.
And how about the company here, though, in America? What kind of paperwork is needed? I mean, we have our tax returns and things like that for a corporation.
Absolutely, and Paul, one of the interesting things to know about that is that the vast majority of companies are actually what we call regional centers, and I mentioned that just a little bit earlier. A regional center is an enterprise that is allowed to pool investments and to promote certain projects in the United States. And for that designation, a enterprise, a group will come to our agency. They'll file paperwork. They'll ask to be recognized as a regional center in the United States. There are over 400 regional centers approved right now to operate. And what that allows them to do is that allows them then to go out, do the recruiting we talked about earlier, and to pull resources and apply them to much bigger projects in the United States, sometimes in the tens of millions of dollars. And we do those same type of background checks for those individuals as well. So for the principals who are running these regional centers, we'll do the same type of background checks for them to ensure that they are individuals who should be able to participate at this level in the program to be able to bring those resources, bring that investment into the United States and help spur the economy and create those jobs.
So does a corporation here that's, say, existing go to the regional center to discuss this, or the regional centers are going to corporations? How does that
Well, the regional centers themselves are going to do that business in the way that they feel is best for them. So there's no blueprint that we say follow it this way or that way, but that's in essence what they'll be doing. They'll be going out and they will be looking for projects that they should be asking us if they then can use the EB-5 program to help fund. So it could be anything from the development of a hotel or some type of infrastructure like that to the building of a meat processing plant, maybe someplace in the Midwest, to ski resorts in Vermont. It just anything that could involve the infusion of capital into the U.S. economy and the creation of jobs is something that potentially could be used, or EB5 funding could potentially be used for.
Right. Now, in that regard, the jobs, is there something you need to hire 10 people that I read here? How does that work?
Yeah, to be able to participate in the program, you have to invest the amount of capital we talked about, the $500,000 or $1 million. But you also, 2 years later, have to be able to document that infusion of capital created or preserved at least 10 full-time jobs in the United States. If you can prove that, that's when you move to something called permanent resident status, which is the step right before becoming a naturalized citizen of the United States. So yes, participation in the program is the capital investment, and then you have to be able to document 2 years later that investment created or preserved 10 jobs.
There's one other area called targeted employment areas. What's that?
Yeah, a targeted employment area, and this is going to be the difference between investing at the $500,000 level and investing at the $1 million level. The $500,000 level is only available for those projects that are within something known as a targeted employment area. And that's a geographic jurisdiction developed by any of the 50 states in the United States that actually it's based on census tracts, and it's actually an area where it's documented that the unemployment level is 150% of the national average. So they are underemployed areas in the United States. If the investment is in one of these targeted employment areas, the investment only has to be at the $500,000 level as opposed to the $1 million level in order for a foreign national, I should say, to participate in the program.
Now, I know you have a wonderful website as well. And let me ask you, do you think feasible to be done without, or do you need a professional assistance like a lawyer to help you with this?
I would say that as with any type of investment, it would be prudent to have someone that understands the system that can advise you. And I couldn't say if that should mean you should hire an attorney or not. But the important thing to note here is that if you're going to participate in the program, if you're going to put this amount of capital at risk, it behooves you to know what investment you're about to turn your funds over to. So I would caution anyone who's listening to this, anyone who's thinking about participating in the program as a foreign investor, really do your homework, make sure that this is where you want to invest your capital so that you're protected as much as possible. And whatever you feel you need to do to afford yourself that level of protection, you should do.
And the same goes for the corporation here that's going to be receiving the investment?
Absolutely. Although I think in that realm, just based on the fact that they are corporations, that they are business entities, they probably have that covered in and of themselves. But it would be the same advice. Yes, they'd want to make sure that they have all their I's dotted and T's crossed before they start trying to utilize the EB5 program.
Okay, Chris, anything else that we should share with the audience?
No, Paul, I think that probably takes care of it. The one thing I would say is, for information about the EB5 Immigrant Investor Program, I know you referenced the website just a little bit ago, or anything about the legal immigration system in the United States, naturalization, green cards, foreign adoptions, you name it, just encourage your listeners to go to our website. It's www.uscis.gov. And you should find all the answers to your questions there. It's a fairly comprehensive website, very dense. Immigration law in the United States is a very complex type of law. As a matter of fact, it's been the U.S. tax code and U.S. immigration law are usually referred to as comparable sets of laws. Or statutes in the United States. So visit the website, learn more about the process, and hopefully people will be able to afford themselves of all the opportunities that are out there for them.
And both of those organizations of which you speak, the tax laws and the immigration, is what helped to build this country to be such a great place. It's a beautiful thing, Chris, and you're really, I think, have a great opportunity working for these areas. It's all a good blessing. This is an immigrant state, a country.
Yeah, we all have an immigrant past from somewhere.
There you go. All righty. Last question for you, Chris. What's good news for you?
Good news for me is every night when I get done doing the work that I do here for U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, I'm fortunate enough to go home to a loving wife and 4 beautiful children each day. So that's good news for me.
That's as good as it gets. Okay, Chris, thank you very much for sharing the good news with us.
You're welcome, Paul. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.